Ladies and gentlemen, what's good? We're back with another Call of Duty mobile video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. It is that time of year. So for those who are wondering, yes, I am wearing my Christmas jammies as I record this video.
It wasn't really my decision. Molly told me that I had to.
Drop a like for more videos in the Christmas jammies. Anyway, Season 11 is here, which means it's time for our top 5 guns in Season 11 of Call of Duty Mobile. If this is helpful for you guys and you want to see more videos like this, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button down below. 2021's almost over, but we're trying to hit 1 million subscribers in 2022. Every subscriber counts, so help us along the way. Before we hop into the video, I want to give a big shout out to Call of Duty Mobile for sponsoring the video. If you guys haven't already, you can download Call of Duty Mobile using the link down in the description. But without any more talking, we're going to go ahead and hop into the action. Now, I will go ahead and say, coming into this video, I was not expecting for it to look this way whenever I started recording yesterday, but I obviously did some research. You guys probably saw. Yesterday, I posted a video where I actually looked at the CBR4, which I had previously completely written off, because a YouTuber by the name of Signu said that it was actually better than the Type 25 and had a lot of stats to back it up, and I tried it out, and all of a sudden, the CBR4 is now in my top 5. So because of that, we have a couple guns in our honorable mentions that I wasn't expecting to be here. The first of those I'm going to put in the honorable mention just because Heaven used it throughout the entirety of Stage 5 of the COD Mobile Championships, and that's going to be the AS Val. While the AS Val definitely has great potential for fast time to kill up close, especially if you're able to hit headshots, it starts to struggle significantly at range, and because the maximum capacity for the magazine is actually only 35 bullets, if you start to miss a couple shots, it can be very, very punishing. With that being said, it makes for a great aggressive AR and can definitely go toe-to-toe with some of the better close range guns, especially in smaller maps like Standoff and Nuketown. Our other honorable mention is going to be the Holger. This is a gun that I really didn't expect to be here. I think I and a lot of other people still had the Holger at number 1 even after it got nerfed a few seasons ago, but a combination of different factors such as other guns coming in that are better at those ranges, as well as more awareness of how different guns fit into the actual meta, has prevented the Holger from making it into our top 5 for the first time in a really long time. With that being said, the Holger is one of the easiest guns to use in the game, especially if you use the 100 round magazine, which is the default, which comes in handy. That means you can use those other attachments for different things. The no stock attachment is still crazy busted with, I believe, a 40% strafe speed bonus, which is absolutely absurd for an LMG. And even though it's not a top 5 gun, it's absolutely still able to go up against the meta, and I would say it's pretty significantly better than the AS Val right now. Now, coming in at number 5, it's not a gun that I had in my top 5 last season, but just based off some things that I've seen in the competitive scene and also based on other guns that have been its competition before getting shadow nerfed, we've got the Fennec back in the top 5 for the first time in a long time. Now, you guys know a while ago the Fennec got buffed way too hard. That was at the same time that the Holger was way too good, so we had an OP Fennec Holger meta where these two dominated the game. I was pretty surprised when we saw the Fennec come out at the start of Stage 5, especially on the eastern side, because there are a lot of teams with 3+ Fennecs at any given point in time. However, after the tournament, I went back and did some research and realized why people still love the Fennec so much. See, even after the nerf, the Fennec is still able to have a 216 millisecond time to kill, all the way out to 13 meters. Then you stack on top of that the fact that it is, I believe, the fastest firing gun in the game, which means that you can miss more shots and not be penalized as much for it. It's also one of the only SMGs that still gets the 25% range boost from the monolithic suppressor, which means you can get massive upside with very little downside. And on top of that, the fact that it has very controllable recoil with only a slight upkick to the right toward the end of the spray. After the nerf to the Type 25 stopping power, you could very well make the argument that the Fennec is actually the best close range gun in the game. Now, obviously, it does have its downsides. It's not going to be able to compete in those long ranges, but the main reason that it is in our top 5 is because what our top 5 really comes down to is how effective it is in its prime range. And just because of how effective the Fennec is in being able to kill quickly up close all the way out to around 15 to 17 meters, depending on how you build it out, it does come in at number 5 on our list. Coming in at number 4, I have a little bit of a cop-out, and this is what I did last season as well, but I basically combined the SKS and the SVD into one category because even though they definitely have very different statistics, they do have very similar playstyles. These are effectively 2 different DMRs with very big upsides in that at long range, they're able to kill very, very quickly and will obviously struggle in the close range, but their effectiveness has actually minimized the effectiveness of some of the other long range guns like the Holger and pushed it outside the top 5. As far as upsides for the SKS, SKS, obviously you can afford to miss more shots because you do have a faster rate of fire. It also has the ability to one tap at any range, which means at any given moment your enemy can end up with a headshot and be insta-killed. As far as the average player goes, I would recommend the SKS over the SVD just because, like I said, it is easier to use because it's a little bit more forgiving and you also don't have to use a scope on it. However, in the hands of a pro, the SVD is arguably the most broken sniper that we've ever had in COD Mobile. I've talked about this before, but it basically has all the same stats as the Outlaw except a faster rate of fire by a pretty significant margin. Very, very easy to get a one tap with the SVD, which is actually the reason that it was banned from Stage 5 of the COD Mobile Championships altogether. Now, fortunately for us, most people have not mastered the art of the SVD, but whenever they do, more than likely you can expect a nerf incoming. These two are no question the most effective long-range guns in the game as far as respawns go. Definitely give both of them a try and see how they feel. Coming in at number 3, we've got the M13. Now, I definitely considered putting this at number 4 just because there are some really significant upsides that the SKS and the SVD have over the M13. There are a lot of factors that make the M13 really easy to use, and because of that, it's great for both pros and for people that are really casual at the game. To start off with, you can build it out so that it can 5-shot all the way out at 40 meters, which is a ridiculous range, and with that comes the suppression that comes with the range extending magazine. If you want to build it out a little bit more like an LMG, you got the 60-round magazine that's an option as well, which pretty much makes the PP19 obsolete. On top of that, if you hit one headshot, you guarantee yourself a 4-shot, which gives it the same time to kill as the Fennec. Actually, it might even be a little bit faster. The gun also has very little recoil, which means that, like I said, just about anybody can use it, and you can build it out just about any way that you want to. It's got so many advantages over the Holger that it pushed the Holger outside of the top 5 just because the M13 had too much utility. Being an AR, but obviously it's going to have better mobility and strafe speed, and in my opinion, rate of fire is one of the most underrated factors in the game whenever it comes to talking about our top 5 guns, because it does do so much to impact your average time to kill. Obviously, we have our base numbers for time to kill if you hit every single shot, but I don't know about you guys, I've never had a game of COD Mobile where my accuracy was 100%. The importance of rate of fire and the way that it factors into time to kill are the main reason that the M13 and the Fennec are both in our top 5 and where they're listed. Coming in at number 2 is a gun that I did not expect to be in our top 5 at all this season, but after doing some research, I definitely see why people love it, and that's going to be the CBR4. The CBR4 is actually surprisingly similar to the Type 25 in a lot of different aspects as far as time to kill. I didn't really expect this, but the range is actually extremely comparable as well. And then on top of that, you have a base magazine the size of 50 rounds. You couple that with the fact that it got a little buff coming into the season, and it's definitely a really, really good option that I kind of slept on just because the recoil is what it is. Now, coming into the season, we did get a buff to the recoil pattern of the gun, but in my opinion, it wasn't a super significant buff. The main issue with the recoil is that there's a lot of horizontal, and they pretty much only impacted the vertical recoil, so while that makes it slightly more manageable, it's still not easy. To be honest, the recoil pattern of the CBR4 is pretty much the only reason that I don't have it at the number 1 spot, because you have to throw on a lot of attachments in order to make it manageable, and even with max horizontal recoil control, which you can get from the marksman barrel and from the RTC light muzzle brake, even then it still has significantly more horizontal recoil than the Type 25, which just puts it outside that number 1 spot. You also take into account that it gets 13% less range boost than the Type 25 whenever you put on a monolithic suppressor, and it makes it a lot more difficult for you to stack range like you would with an AR. Now, with that being said, it does have SMG mobility, which you have to take into account, which makes it more effective than the Type 25 at close range, unless you're throwing on stopping power, and I would say the stopping power is one of the other factors that makes the Type 25 a little bit more versatile in the ways that you can build it out. Obviously, most of the time, I try not to give away our number 1 gun prior to actually talking about it, but just because the CBR4 and the Type 25 are so similar, I had to give it away. Type 25 is still our number 1 gun for Season 11 of Call of Duty Mobile. While there is some variability depending on whether or not you use the stopping power magazine, if you do, it's still guaranteed that you're going to be able to 4-shot at close range regardless of what body part you hit, and the 5-shot is going to be pretty easy to achieve, all the way up to 17 meters with that attachment. Now, personally, I would recommend running the Type 25 as more of a true AR and let the SMGs be SMGs. So most of the time, I'm going to run the 42 round magazine. And like we talked about previously, the main downside of the CBR4 is its recoil pattern. So because the recoil is so manageable on the Type 25, especially when you do get something like the extended light barrel on there, it makes it really, really useful at a lot of different ranges. And overall, I feel like it still does manage to outgun the CBR4 as far as consistency goes. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing you guys' feedback on this one, because there are a lot of changes in this top 5 that I didn't expect to be there. But obviously, the more that we play the game, the more we see the meta transform, and the more we understand how each of the individual guns work. That is going to be it for our top 5 guns of season 11, though. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please do me a huge favor. Make sure to drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to the squad if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.